All right, so we'll start the wetlands meeting scheduled for Wednesday, July 15th, 2020. First item on the agenda is show cause hearing 1179 Farmington Avenue.
Yes, and I believe Attorney Galsky is on.
Good evening, William Galsky, on behalf of the applicant. We've made some, I think, decent progress since the last meeting. We're fighting three fires, if you will, at once. As you recall, at the last meeting, we had indicated we received, had to reply to an inquiry from the Army Corps, and that has been submitted to the Army Corps with the opinion of Mr. Logan that the Army Corps does not have jurisdiction. We haven't heard anything back. We expect that there will probably be, certainly be a reply and probably a request for a site visit. Number two, Mr. Logan has submitted a letter. Did that get in, Shannon, to you, his letter of earlier today?
A letter? No, I didn't receive it.
An email, I'm sorry. I don't know.
There was an email with an update on work progress, and
Right.
I wanted to make sure you had it so you could update the commission, and he
Right.
confirmed that.
Is that on your exhibits here tonight or no?
It's not, unfortunately.
Okay.
I didn't have an opportunity
That's fine. I know it came in late, but there are 6 different items that he is addressing. I can summarize those if you want.
Perfect. That would be helpful. Thank you.
You want me to do that? Okay, so his he has an associate who works with him, and they are working on, I'm gonna quote this, if I may. The first one is the function and values analysis for the subject wetland, and he indicates that that's 90% done. The second is a full description of the resource in question in its landscape context. That is in progress. The third item is a conceptual wetland mitigation plan, including a rationale for not restoring the wetland in the effective area. That's in progress. The fourth item is a wetland delineation support / soil logs, which is in progress. The fifth matter is an archival aerial review going back to 1934. That's in progress. You may recall at an earlier meeting, he did submit a few pictures of the site over the years. And the sixth item is more annotated photographs. We've also scheduled a meeting with staff, with Shannon and Bruce Sear on Friday at the site because of we can't meet at the town hall, to discuss the other cease and desist, which has come from Mr. Sear on the planning and zoning side, if you will. Also, we expect to have, I expected to have it, but hope to have a topographic map indicating the elevations of the site in relation to what the floodplain zone is. We believe initially that all of the site is above, or substantially all of the site, especially the area where the fill took place, is above the floodplain delineation. That is being also verified by surveyors in the field. That is substantially done as well. So Mr. Logan unfortunately can't be here tonight. He's at another hearing in Torrington. And so what we're really gearing up is to try to complete those 6 items that I mentioned earlier for your next meeting. We'd like to have the the meeting with the staff on Friday to come up with a more of a concrete plan that's going to address the not only inland wetland issues, but the planning and zoning issues as well. We're expecting to have to file applications to, for the various remediations and other items. So we'd like to try to come up with a cohesive plan on that so that we're not going in opposite directions.
Okay.
I'd
All right.
certainly be happy to answer any questions I can, or appreciate your input.
Sure. Bob, you want to run through for questions, if there are any?
Yeah, use the usual process. Rich?
I have no questions at this point.
Dave?
No questions now.
Robert?
No questions at the moment, but thank you for the continued effort to provide the information we've asked for. Thank you.
Mark?
No questions.
Ned?
Yeah, I have one question. So, and I don't know if it's the staff or it's the attorney, but like, when would we expect the Army Corps of Engineers to give us an answer if they concur with the finding?
I don't know definitively, but I think the letter was dated July 7th, I think, yeah. So we're probably looking the end of July or early August before we would hear back from them. If I haven't heard from them at that point, then I would probably touch base with Corey to see what direction she's intending to go with this.
And so the findings that that is not related to the U.S. waterways, that just means that they think that there's no, I guess to say, ecological interaction between the Farmington River and this wetland area. That's to put it simply.
Correct. I believe the metric is a hydraulic connection, and there's no hydraulic connectivity in George's opinion.
And one thing I didn't see covered here was like groundwater. Would groundwater come into that? Like groundwater shared between
the two? Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
So that would be a question for George.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay. Jay?
I don't have any questions.
Five?
Did you call me?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't think you heard him.
I don't have any question.
Okay.
I don't really have any at this time either.
Okay. Thoughts on, since we don't meet again until September at this point, I'm assuming as information becomes available, I will continue to forward it on, and I'm assuming we'd encourage, obviously, the owner and Attorney Galsky to not wait until September to get us next pieces of information. Is that correct? A reasonable assumption on my part?
Yes.
Shannon, I'm sorry if I can interrupt. I'm sorry. So there is no meeting in 2 weeks?
That is correct.
No, this is the last meeting for the summer. We don't meet again technically
Oh, I'm
until.
very sorry. I spoke earlier. I was under the impression that there was a meeting on the 29th.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope. Twice a month. That's it. So none of the land use boards are going to meet again until September at this point.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know, it's just been 4 weeks since the, since the investigation in the ground went out there started, and, I think life in general is kind of difficult. I think we've made decent progress. I don't know how the commission feels about that, but we're certainly doing the best we can.
Right. I'm simply suggesting is that we don't want to wait until September to get the next update.
Oh, no.
As things are available, I can filter it off to the commission, and if need be, we can attempt to do a Zoom meeting mid-month of August to try to get an update. So I can, I'll stay in touch with the chair and obviously with you, and if we think it's necessary to try to get everybody to convene, if we can get a quorum, then we'll attempt to do so. I don't think folks are going to be going very far this summer.
No.
Certainly not to any of the southern states.
That's true.
So, okay. Bob, do you have anything else on this matter then?
No, I would just echo what you said, that it was mentioned that there's 6 different components that George is working on. When one is completed, I'd get it in. I wouldn't wait to submit everything at one time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that way it also gives commission members a chance to maybe break up the time in reviewing the material as it comes in.
Certainly, yeah, good point, rather than trying to muscle through everything at once.
Yep.
Okay. All righty, very good. Thank you, Bill, for calling in, and we'll look forward to seeing you on Friday.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and to avoid embarrassment on the next item, I'm just going to say 8468 Maple Avenue.
There we go.
I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, and I don't want to go there.
No, I'm with you. I think, Sev, I know you're on. I don't know if anyone else for your application's on. I got a couple of people.
I'm here.
Yeah, and I've got hands raised. No, I got that one. All right. Sev, did somebody else call it? Okay, we're going to do that too. Okay. I think you're good, Sev. So the site plan's up. If you want to take the lead with the discussion of your request, we'll go from there. Sev? Sev, one of your lines is muted. You're showing up here a couple of times. You might have to unmute yourself. I got this. Do you want to present your application? I can see him, but okay, we'll go. I don't know, Robert, if you or Bob, you want to go to the next item, because I can't. I'm not sure if he's not hearing me or what he's doing, but.
Okay, we can come back to it.
Okay.
So we'll do winding trails, 50 winding trails.
Yep. So, Mark Dale, are you there?
Yes, Mark Dale's here.
Oh, fabulous. Okay. Thank you. So, I had sent the summary of what the common fence is to everyone, and then just today we've got maps. Mark, I'll leave the map up, and Mark, can you provide a description of, a brief description of what the common fence is and what you are planning to do?
Yes, Mark Dale. The common fence started in 1684 when the proprietors first started to divide it up, and basically the village of Farmington back historically had the village, and then they would have common fields and property owned, and the common fence was basically to keep the animals out so they could grow their vegetables in the summer and keep the animals in the winter, protected from everything. We've been running through some of this historic. We're in the Southeast Division, which was divided amongst the 84 proprietors in 1759, and there is a section of the fence that is still visible. that we would like to basically do a small kiosk to whatever, show people how it worked and why it worked and some of the interesting pieces of it.
Okay. And what's going to be involved in getting the trail? You're building a kiosk and doing a small trail, is that correct?
Yes, the actual the actual fence that we would like to restore is 40 feet long within the original ditch, and in order to get to it, it's about 25 yards, 75 feet, in which it crosses 3 ditches that would be a floodplain on heavy rains.
Okay. Okay. So, all right, do you have anything else you'd like to add for the at this point, or are you ready for this to go to questions?
I'm ready for it to go to questions.
Okay. All right,
Okay,
Mr. Hammond.
so Shannon, on this, what we're trying to make a decision on is, one, whether or not it's a non-regulated activity, or if it is a regulated activity, accepting the application. Is
Correct.
that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
you got it.
Okay. So we'll start with Rick.
I'm a little unclear as to what the proposed activity is. Is it creating a trail or creating bridges? What exactly is being planned here?
So existing is the common fence was based on a 4-foot wide by 3-foot ditch in which all of the sand from the north side was put on the south side of that, and then there was a 42-inch fence above it. We want to basically what is left after 300 years is just a shallow ditch and a small berm. We want to recreate 40 feet of the 4-foot ditch, 3 feet deep, with a berm and a fence to show what that common fence back in the 1759 would have looked like. In order to get there, we're proposing a footpath with 2 6-foot boards over a small drainage ditch.
Okay.
So it's work, and all the work would be in the upland review area.
Okay. That answers my question. Thank you.
Okay.
Dave?
So these swales are not considered regulated areas then, correct?
I don't believe so. There are 2 wetlands to either side of this area, and the swales were dry when Mark and I walked it. I didn't dig in on a shovel. He's going to use planks to cross over the swales rather than install pipe and stone. So it'll be a footpath over.
Okay. You just have to clear, it says 6 to 8 small trees.
Correct.
That's the extent of it. Okay. Oh, the 40 feet where you're digging the ditch, is that in one of the existing ditches that you're just expanding?
I'm sorry, I had trouble hearing the question, Dave.
The ditch that's going to be dug for 40 feet to recreate what the fence looked like, does that intersect one of the drainage ditches now, or is that one of the drainage ditches, the remnant ditch from historic times?
Mark, you want to field that?
Yes, it is the historic one. It is not a It is not part of the floodplain that backs up in the spring from the vernal pool next to it.
That's all I have.
Okay. Robert?
I think I have some questions on the same line as the other commissioners. So Shannon, you said it's all in the upland review area. Do we know how close to mapped wetlands the work is going to be?
No, I don't. No, I don't know that they've ever done a full delineation up in this area, so I wouldn't know specifically.
Okay. So the area hasn't been field located for wetlands. We're going off of existing town mapping.
Correct. Yep.
But Shannon,
And there is, so you can see, this is Phantom, so there's Phantom Pond here, and then there's another water body just to the other side of this.
So Mark or Shannon, do we know, are we, at least 50 feet, at least 100 feet from believed wetlands versus, within 5 or 10 feet of what is believed to be a wetland?
Mark, do you know how far from that fence line it is back to the water body to the, I'll say to the north?
It's more of a permanent marsh, and it's close, 20 feet, 30 feet. The berm on the old fence was right along that wetland. It was intentionally, the fence originally was built as part of the wetland, which is often the case in the Farmington Common fence, whether you were talking on the south side or the north side where we are, because it helped with their animals, keeping them whichever side they wanted, depending on the season. So yes, it's close.
Okay. Overall, the concept of the project, I'm not opposed to, and I think there is value in increasing the recreational and educational component to working in and near wetlands. But I'm a little concerned about doing some subsurface work in close proximity to a wetland area when we don't know the actual boundary of the wetland. So I think there's going to be a balancing there, but that's the only question that I have right now. Thank you.
Okay. Mark?
I would just ask one question, is about the removal of the trees, 6 or 8 of them. Is the trees just going to be chopped to the ground, or are they going to remove the stump and everything with it? That'd be for Mark.
The trees that need to be removed are all less than 2 inches. They're all pole trees, basically. Nothing of any substance.
So you're just going to chop them, or you're going to dig them all out?
We were just going to cut them to ground level.
Okay. I'm also a little concerned. I'm thinking, kind of leaning to this as an educational experience that would be nice to have, but I am a little concerned about how close this is going to be towards the wetlands, and I might want to have a site visit just before I make a decision. That's all. I'm done.
Okay. All right, Ned?
Yeah, I question on this ditch. I mean, is it going to be left as open dirt, or I mean, how is the bottom of the ditch going to be covered? Is it going to end up having vegetation growing in it, or? Because you said it's a 40-foot long ditch, and then
Yes.
on top of the pile is a fence.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. Well, it's there as it exists, and it would be 4 feet wide. We would dig it 2.5, 3 feet to make it what the other one looked like. All that material gets added to the berm, and then there's a fence that's 42 inches high, which would be a 3-rail split level fence. And it's just a replica of what that actual fence would have looked like. But no, it would just be maintained as an educational historical site of what it would have looked like in 1759.
Okay, what would the ground cover be, Mark, on the ditch? Would it be left to naturalize with, or would, I don't know that a seed mix is needed, but what would you use some wood chips or some leaves, or keep some of the top dressing that's there and then dig the ditch and put it back? So pine needles and leaves would form the actual ditch bottom?
Yes, we can do any of those ones that was just recommended. Whatever I have to say, I don't know what the best piece for it. I can do either of those.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm certainly, I support the project and you know, I've been to winding trails many times, but, you know, and there's trails right next to waterways, you know, all over the place. So I'm not too concerned about it. I just wanted to, I was just a little concerned about how this is going to be left with this ditch. I don't want it to become an erosion problem that water finds its way out somewhere with, you know, carrying the soil with it. The other part is you said there was going to be a kiosk. Is that just, you know, be founded on sonotubes that are hand dug, or when you say a kiosk, I mean, is it something with a roof, or?
Yes, it has a mini roof. It's 4 feet by 4 feet wide, 2 4x4 poles into the ground with no cement, and a cedar shake top. And actually, that we would prefer that on that. Well, we could do it either place. We were going to put that on the trail as opposed to over by the fence.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay. Jay?
Not necessarily a question per se, just a thought. I think it's a great idea. Anytime you can preserve anything historical, that's always a great idea. I guess I'm just kind of thinking out loud. I think it was Mark that said it might be worth us taking a look just to see exactly what we're dealing with distance-wise. Since there's some uncertainty about that, I'm just wondering. I'm agreeing. Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to do a site walk. Just putting that out there. That's all I have.
Guy?
I think Mark said there was a vernal pool there. Is that the marshy place that he's talking about?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand the question.
You said something about there being a vernal pool in that area.
It's a water body. It's not a spring pool. It's a permanent. Shannon, what would you call the water next to it? Not the actual pond.
Yeah, it's more of a marshy type area. There is vernal pool. It's listed as a vernal pool further to the north, but it holds, I believe, Mark, you'd indicated that area is inundated virtually year-round. It's not just inundated in the spring.
Correct.
Yeah.
And how far away is the vernal pool from this?
The one vernal pool that we know or we consider a vernal pool is about 100 yards away. It's different from the marsh that the fence runs along, quote unquote, a marsh.
Okay. That's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Okay, I just want a clarification on something. Is it 100 yards or 100 feet? I just want to make sure I'm clear on that.
It's yards. The vernal pool is quite a walk.
Okay. And Shannon, this is maybe more geared towards you for a question and a response. What I'm kind of wondering is whether or not at this point in time we might be better off just accepting the application, and that way schedule a site walk, which I think people appear to be interested in.
Yep.
And with that being the case, then we would be able to theoretically take an action in September.
Correct.
If we do the site walk and we come away from that thinking, okay, we need to deal with accepting the application, because it's in, would it have automatically been accepted today, even if we don't act on it? I'm just trying to get a clarification as to the standing of the application, if that's the way we end up going.
Right. I think if folks want to do a site walk, then I think procedurally we're better off accepting the application, schedule the site walk. If after seeing it, you don't feel a permit's needed, we can look at doing something online, a vote online that would indicate that, no, it's free to proceed as a non-regulated activity. Otherwise, then the application's been accepted and we'll proceed on course in September then.
Yeah, because I mean, I would hate to not accept the application now and we do the site walk and you say we need to accept the application in September when we theoretically could have gotten things resolved in early September. So that's
right.
My pitch. I don't know how everybody else feels about that.
Yeah, this is Robert. I agree. I don't think we have the information about if the wetlands are actually mapped or we knew definitively the proximity to regulated area. That would be easier for us to make a decision. But I agree, we should accept the application, do a site walk, and decide from there.
This is Jay. I just want to make sure I'm understanding this. So if we do a site walk now, Shannon, I guess this is for you, would we then be doing a Zoom meeting to do something before the September meeting? Or if we do the site walk now, if we accept the application and we do a site walk, like next week or whatever, would we then not be doing anything till September?
So accept the application tonight.
Yep.
We set a date for the site walk. And then if after the site walk, the general consensus of those that were able to participate felt that it doesn't rise to the level of actually needing the permit, at that point via email, we can go back. I can't, if you don't accept the application, we shouldn't do that via email, but if we're going to, once you do the site walk, you think, yeah, okay, this cleared up it provided the clarity that was needed in order to make an appropriate determination, and you don't feel a permit's needed, then we can do that via email. Otherwise, it'll just go through till September to the next meeting through a normal course, through a normal application process.
It probably would have been a good idea when I put that thought together to put that little piece of information. I guess it will depend on what we find when we do the site walk to see how we're going to proceed from there. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
That's what I thought I heard you say. I just wanted to make sure I understood. I get it now. Thank you.
Okay, so we need a motion.
Yeah. So somebody want to make a motion to accept the application?
I'll make a motion to accept the application.
This is Jay. I'll second that.
Any comments? Questions?
So just to clarify, if we do a site walk, we agree at the site walk that it's a non-regulated activity. We could do an online vote that this is a non-regulated activity, and then they can go forward?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so those in favor of accepting the application tonight, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay, so then the next thing will be to go ahead and set up the time for the site walk.
Okay, I'll work with Mark because it's a bit of a ways in, so let me work with Mark to try to coordinate logistics to see what we can put together to get some dates and do this so we're not spending 30 minutes hiking in. So I'll coordinate that offline and then follow up with an email.
Okay.
And are they gonna, can they kind of put out some, posts to mark the location?
Yeah, well, Mark will be there with us, so I'm not, yeah, so Mark, so this is gonna require a little coordination.
Okay.
Okay, Mark, I will be in touch tomorrow to get the next step coordinated on this one, okay?
That'd be great. Thank you, everybody, for your time and effort.
Can I
Thank
be
you.
recognized? This is Sev.
Excuse me?
It's Seb, so I think we can go back.
Can you hear me?
8468 Maple Avenue.
Okay, yep, we can.
Can you hear you?
Yep, Seb, go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead,
okay.
we'll go
Sorry
back.
about the confusion. I'm on an iPhone. I was having a hard time unmuting myself. So is it okay to start the conversation?
Yes, it
Sure,
is.
go right ahead. Why don't you explain the project and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I will. And it's kind of hard to hear, very muted. I don't know if there's a way to make it better with your microphone, but if you can hear me, I'll move forward.
You're pretty clear.
We can hear you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commission members. My name is Sev Bovino, planner with Kratzer Jones and Associates, representing the applicant. The property is located on Maple Avenue, as indicated on the application. It is west of 128 Farmington Avenue. The reason I give you that number to give you a sense where this is located, because that parcel number, it's hard to identify. The property can consist of 2 lots of record predating the zoning regulations. The zoning in this area is R9. 2 families are allowed. Public sewer and water is available on Maple Avenue. The plan is to combine both lots into one and build a smaller home in the rear of the property with no basement. It will be on concrete slab. A soil scientist was hired to delineate the wetland soils. A report was submitted. The soil scientist is David Lord from Soil Resource Consultants. The conversation about this property started late winter, early spring this year. The total area of the property is 21,927 square feet, which is approximately ½ acre. 15,000 square feet are wetland soils. The entire frontage is impacted by wetlands. The first approach was to build a driveway across the wetlands leading to the same area of not wetland, which is in the southeast corner of the property. I advised my client to look for other ways to access the property. One was to get an easement for the access from the office property facing Farmington Avenue, which is 160 Farmington Avenue. And after a few meetings with that property owner, he refused to grant an easement. So the second approach was to get an easement from the property next to us, 128 Farmington Avenue. He was able to come to an agreement with that property owner. Therefore, the plan before you shows the driveway and utilities coming across that property into the buildable area outside the wetland. However, to accomplish that, we still have some unavoidable wetlands impacts for portions of the house, the utilities, and the driveway grading along the easterly limits of the wetland area. The proposed impact is 840 square feet. To protect the wetlands from erosion migration, we propose to have silt fence, mulch logs, construction entrance, and do some lumen seeding for immediate stabilization. To prevent encroachment into the wetlands during construction, we propose to have a construction fence installed to achieve that. And there will be some clearing, small amount of clearing necessary to build the house. The roof water is planned to be discharged to the wetland area via roof drains through a pipe to a small depression with riprap to reduce velocity. To prevent encroachment after the house is built, wetlands markers will be installed according to town regulations, and appropriate plantings along the driveway edge will be done. The grading is done in a way to keep the current drainage pattern to the wetlands area via sheet runoff. The runoff will flow through about 6 to 8 feet of grass filter along the driveway. We notify the state. We send a request to the NDDB regarding species of concern. All the appropriate ENS notes and details are on the plan. We received staff comments, which we will take into account together with any of your comments when the plans are revised. We hope the commission looks at this application favorably and gives us an approval. The plan is to do any excavation, foundation work, and grading before the winter to stabilize the area as soon as feasible. So timing is of the essence. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Okay, thank you. Start with Rich.
So if I'm looking at the plan correctly, the edge of the house is basically on the wetland line, and you're going to be doing grading on the west side of the house and actually filling wetlands to fit the house in here. Is that correct?
Yeah, we squeeze the house as far back and as far to the side as possible. The side yard is 10 feet and we have it, I think, 11 feet, 11.6. And the rear yard is 25. We placed it at 28.4 feet. And yes, the disturbance will be at the edge of the wetlands, yes. A little bit for the house and some of it for the driveway and the utility construction there. And the grading necessary to do the slope.
Was there any consideration given to modifying the dimensions of the house to avoid that wetland impact?
Well, this house has already been squeezed. We hired an architect to make it so that it would be the smallest possible. We can move the house to closer to the side yard a little bit and push it back a little bit more to the 25-foot setback line. That's what we can do. It is a small home. The dimension, it's 37 feet wide. That's why we made the house 37 and we made it 51 feet deep to create some living space.
Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Dave. I guess I'm next.
Yep, Dave.
Yeah.
Sorry, my phone was on mute.
Got a pretty difficult site here. I'm glad we're creative with the driveway and didn't try to come across the wetlands. That would have been an enormous impact. I guess following up a little bit on Rich's, yeah, if you could move the house a little bit further away, that would minimize the intrusion into the wetlands. The 25-foot setback, how hard is it to get a little bit of an easement there?
Well, it's not an easement.
A variance, I mean.
It would be a variance, which I don't know in Farmington how easy is the zoning board of appeals for a variance. But you got to remember, we do need a little bit of backyard to be able to have living space, because the wetlands basically is going to be off limit.
Yep.
So it's basically, that's the little bit of backyard that we're going to use.
Okay. I'm not sure if, you know, if moving it 3 more feet is going to make that much difference, but if it does, that would be good. The splash pad for the roof runoff looks like it's half into the wetlands. Would that be sited so that it's entirely in the uplands and water then just flows down into the wetlands?
Yeah, that's no problem. That one is easy. Yeah.
Was there any thought given to infiltrating the roof runoff? I saw the soil report. There's a lot of, I guess.
Yeah, the recharge, obviously we're so close to the wetlands, so whenever you put underground storage, you're going to have some water infiltrating into it, negating the effect. That's why I didn't show that. But if the commission would like to see it, maybe I could put an underground storage on the southeast corner where the yard is going to be.
Right.
Will be away from the wetlands. I could do some of that there.
That might be something to consider. I'm guessing you didn't hear back from on the Natural Diversity Database request.
No, we haven't heard back. We are just at the edge of the concerned area, so I don't know what they're going to find.
Right. Yeah, I see most of it's on the other side of Farmington Avenue, so
yes,
maybe you get a no impact response. So the wetlands have been delineated on both parcels. Is that correct?
The wetlands what?
The wetlands were delineated on both parcels.
No, the wetlands were delineated, yes, on both parcels, 7 and 8. But
Okay.
when we decided to put the driveway not across the wetland, I understand that there may be some a little bit more wetlands to be investigated by Maple Avenue there to see if it extends further east along Maple Avenue.
Yeah, because the little map that was included with the soils report doesn't look like it extends into that neighboring parcel. But on
Yeah, at the time, the only thing we could do was to deal with our parcel, and we were looking at crossing the wetlands. And then because I suggested the easement, we did design this. So now we have to have David Lord go out there and look at the wetlands again.
Okay, but on the plan that we're looking at now on the screen, the wetlands are delineated in that area.
If there is any wetlands, it will be minimal along the edge there, where you see that where you look at the report, there's like you didn't connect the dots between the two, so there may be a little bit more wetlands there, but it won't be much. It's a grass area right now. It's a mowed area, and we will not be able to push that driveway any further east, because then there will be another property owner. We already basically taken over the entire frontage of 128.
And the existing vegetation that's delineated by that looping line.
Yes, the existing brush line.
Right. Okay. Okay.
It's mostly brush. There's some trees in the back of the property, but the one you see there, it's all brush.
It might be good to have additional information on the nature of the wetlands, the vegetation present, functions and values that the wetlands serve. If your soil scientist can do that, or if you have to have a biologist.
No, he can do that.
It would be good to have that kind of information forward. I guess that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Robert?
Sure. I agree with Commissioner Fox that we should get a wetlands quality assessment from David Lord, and then I think it would be good or helpful to see the property. I agree with both Commissioner Berlandi and Fox. It's certainly a tight site. And I appreciate the fact that you did try to already come up with some minimization of impacts by relocating the driveway. But it appears to be still a pretty tight site. So while I would agree that the ability to develop the property is necessary, otherwise it'd be a taking by the town, I don't agree that there has to be a minimum usage for yard. That's something that would be preferred, but we're gonna have to take a look at what the impacts are as assessed by your soil scientist, and then also what we see firsthand. And I just want to double check, Mr. Rubino, you said the house is being specifically designed, so this is not, a tentative layout and then it's going to be subject to change later. This is a footprint of the foundation as it will be constructed, correct?
Yes, yes. This is the way he envisions the house. The plans are already done, basically. That's why I have these precise dimensions. Yes.
Okay. And then I also think it's important to hear back from the Deep Natural Diversity Database. And even though you may be on the fringe of the area, we recognize that the plant and animals don't always stay within those mapped areas. So getting the final response from the NDDB will be important. That's all I have.
Mark?
Yeah, the only thing I'm hearing, and I've heard all the questions, but if we do a site visit, is it possible to have the house dimensions marked so we have a good idea where the house would reside and how close it is to the wetlands?
Yeah, it's right up to the wetlands, but we'll be glad to stake the corners of the house.
That would be what I would need. I think we are probably going to be doing a site visit, and staking the property, the house dimensions would be crucial for us to understand.
Yeah,
that's all I have.
Yeah, as you
Okay.
can see.
What were you going to say?
Did you lose him, Shannon?
He's showing there. I don't know, Seb, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay.
Okay. Was there something you were going to add regarding the stakeout of the house and the wetland flagging?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you see how the house was supposed to be square, but we decided to cut the corner there by the garage and just create a little porch, which would be on piers to reduce the impact, but still it's an impact. But we trying. We made the house small, we put it in the corner, we didn't cross the wetlands. It's, look, this is the best we can do, and we'll be glad to provide additional data requested by the commission.
Okay.
So you're
I'm
gonna
good.
let me know, you're gonna let me know when the
So
sidewalk is?
We've got more
Okay.
people for asking questions. We haven't gone through all the commissioners yet.
So Mark,
So-
you're done?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Ned?
Is the permanent driveway gonna be crushed stone, or is that for during construction?
Pardon?
Is the permanent driveway gonna be crushed stone, or?
I
Was that
propose to be processed, crushed stone, but the town engineer and Shannon, I believe, would like to see it paved. But it's up to commission, which way would you prefer? I left it so there will be a little bit more infiltration.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with the previous comment. I'm like, well, the report we have from the soil scientists and the town's report says there's some discrepancies there. So, I would like the limits that the soil scientists came up with to be shown on these plans so we can see exactly where it's sitting, and then also to have the soil scientists locate the limits of the wetlands on the other property, just so we're sure that, we're accurately evaluating you know, where the wetland limits are in regards to the driveway and the house. And I also would like to do a site visit. It's a tight squeeze, I understand, but it's, you know, maybe it's doable. I don't know, you know, you have a 10-foot sideline, you're at 11 feet and 28 feet. I don't know how moving it one way or the other is gonna make a huge difference. But I'm just kind of curious to see what it looks like out there and how close these, you know, wetland limits are to, you know, what we're actually seeing on paper. So I would appreciate it if the soil scientists can give you the information for locating the wetlands on the second lot, and then we could take a look at it. I'm leery. I think it's a very tight squeeze, and I appreciate the efforts to not go through run the driveway through the wetland, and I'd like to see if we can get this done, but I also want to make sure we're not doing any damage. So that's my request.
We will.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Jay?
So my concern, my question, whatever you want to phrase it, would probably be resolved with a sidewalk. I live in Old Mountain Village, so I was kind of trying to figure out where the reference of where 128 is with respect to Maple Avenue. My address is Timberline Drive, but I actually live on Maple Avenue. I think where you're talking about is down near the fire station, near the woods. So I guess my concern is if the driveway entering where you're proposing to build this house is on Maple Avenue, there's a lot of woods there. So I guess I'm curious, and maybe this question comes from me maybe not being the most proficient at reading site plans, but I guess my concern would be tree removal because there's a lot of woods down there.
Yeah, on this side of the road, on this side of Maple Avenue, there's not a lot of trees. The trees are on the north side of Maple Avenue. There's actually there's an opening to enter the property in this location. It might be one tree maybe in the way, but we'll see. Like you say, at a sidewalk, you'll see.
Yeah, and I guess maybe I wasn't looking exactly parallel to 128. I actually got on Farmington Avenue to see exactly where 128 was, because I wasn't sure exactly how that corresponded to Maple Avenue. And then I figured, I haven't lived in town that long, so bear with me. But at any rate, that would probably help me kind of understand exactly where this was going to be, and that was my only concern. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guy?
I think I pretty much join with the other commissioners on our concerns. That's all I have.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions. One is in the backyard area, you have the wetlands running sort of northeast to southwest. Behind the house, a little bit to the east of the wetlands there, it looks as though there's a tree line there. Are you planning on leaving those trees up in the backyard, or are they coming down?
Whatever trees that are in the way of the actual foundation work will be taken down. We will stake the corners of the house so you'll be able to see if there is any trees to be taken down during the site visit. I don't expect to be too many. I believe the tree line is further west, and it possibly won't be many trees to be taken down.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the map, it looks as though on lot 7, the entire back portion of that lot is wooded. So I was just curious if you were planning on taking any of those trees down to provide more of a backyard, because I believe the comment that you had made earlier, the wetlands would be off limit.
Yes, the wetlands are off limit, and the backyard is going to be probably in the southeast corner more than the southwest corner. But we'll see when we go there. We have the corners in place. We'll see what kind of impact we have on the trees.
No, it's just a question because I'm curious as to, you know, expand the backyard as much as possible, were you planning on cutting trees outside of the wetland area in the backyard? That was basically where I was going. And then Shannon, has anybody talked about a conservation easement over the wetlands?
No, but I just made a note on my notes here, conservation easement along the wetland limit, and get the markers in place and get it recorded
Okay.
on the land record. So I just made a note that we can add that in as a condition.
Okay.
Hi,
right.
Shannon, can I say something?
Who is-
Hello?
yeah,
hi.
I'm not sure who you are.
Yeah, well, I'm the owner of the proposed house that we're
And
trying to build.
Sure, please
And
identify yourself, please identify yourself with name and
Hi.
address that we can have it on the record, please.
Yes, my name is Latin, last name is Hukic, and I'm the potential owner of buying this property and building a house. And I currently live in Rocky Hill. And to answer the gentleman's question about the tree line in the back, I would not touch any of them, only because it provides the great privacy from the Farmington Avenue, which is close by. Therefore, in fact, I wish there were more trees back there, because during the winter months, when the leaves fall, it's kind of, visible. But like right now, it's very perfect for the privacy. Therefore, no trees will be cut. Like Sev was pointing out, whatever minimum impact is, if that's not one tree, then we won't touch anything.
Okay. Thank you. That helps.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So I would say, based on everything I've heard, would somebody care to make a motion to accept the application? We'll get the site walk scheduled.
This is Jay, so moved.
I'll second that this morning.
Okay, I'll let you guys fight over who seconded it. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, those in favor of accepting the application, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And Shannon, you'll get back to us when we schedule the walk.
Correct. I'll try and, I might see if whether or not we can tag it in with one of the Winding Trails ones. I'm going to try and do a weekday evening since we've got the daylight. Yes, I will follow up.
Just remember, the days are getting shorter now.
Yeah, I know.
It works for me. I can walk to the sidewalk, so I'm good.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So I think we're set on this one right now.
I think so, yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay.
So next is Lynn Diaz, 1476 Farmington Avenue.
Yep, and I think I've got one on the phone. Hang on a second. I did have one on the phone. Where did Lynn go? All right, Lynn had been on the call. I guess she had a attendee. So my attendee list, Ned, do you see this? The attendee list says 4, but there's 3 people showing.
Oh, that's weird, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna roll Lynn.
She was there, but I don't know, she's gone.
Yeah, but the attendee list still says 4.
Oh, mine says 3.
Oh, mine just, just changed. Hang on. Good Lord.
You might see my name and my phone number are 2, but I don't know if that's you're seeing.
Okay, she might have had to drop off, not realizing we needed to be as chatty as we were this evening, but that's fine. I'll roll through. Sandy, just let me know if you see her pop back in.
Okay.
So this is an request for an above-ground pool. The home is on Farmington Avenue, 1476 Farmington Avenue. This is the location of the pool. It's inside the fenced portion of their backyard. You can see there's a little playscape here. There's a shed here. Beyond this, within this treed area between, and you can see even the property to the north has a pool and a shed. in this area, there's a drainage swale. There are some wetlands associated with it. The mapped wetlands are typical of our mapped wetlands, and they're kind of all over the place. I think actually in this case, it comes through the middle of where the house is. And that's based on the soil survey. So like I said, there's a swale here. It's very flashy and is very coincident with our rainstorms. But there is, some wetland vegetation to either side. There was quite a bit of poison ivy, so I couldn't convince Bruce to go investigate further. So again, it's in the yard area. There is some excavation that's going to be done because there is some hill here. So Bruce and I will work with them to make sure that we've got erosion control at the perimeter and any excavated material is removed from the property. And that has been discussed with the homeowner. She understands and intends to proceed accordingly. So the question before the commission is to either accept this as a permitted as of right in accordance with section 4A4 or to accept an application. Again, this is an above ground pool at this location.
Hey, Shannon, Lynn is back
Yeah.
on attendees.
Oh, cool. All right. All right, Lynn, I don't know if I can move you, I can promote you to panelist.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
I apologize.
So that's okay. Did you hear the explanation I gave the commission? I'm not sure when you got back on.
Yes, I was disconnected, but I did hear of course most of it.
Okay. Is there anything other than above ground pool, right? And it's in the fenced area of your yard?
Correct.
And you're not intending to take down trees, correct?
Correct. No trees, nothing.
Okay. And any of the excavation, because there is a bit of a hill there, I understand, any of the excavation that isn't used to secure the pool, any of the earth will be removed from the property?
Correct. I spoke to them and we did include that in there now, so they will be removing any excess dirt.
Okay. Okay. I think unless, we can run through questions, Bob, and that might be the best at this point.
Yeah, okay, Rich?
No, I don't have any questions. I'm kind of leaning toward this as a right activity. That's it for me.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
Dave?
Just one question. It looks like if the ditch is along near the property line, it's about 50 feet away from the pool location. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay.
Robert?
No question, just a comment that I think this would be a permitted use as of right. It's an existing lawn. There's no work in the direct wetlands. So that's my only comment.
Mark?
I would agree with Robert that this is permitted activity. That's it.
Okay. Ned?
Yeah, are we gonna stay out of the 10-foot side yard with this pool?
Yes, they have to by zoning regulations.
Okay. And then, and the homeowner agrees with the recommendation of the straw bales and whatnot to, for the trenches?
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, and then, yeah, I will also lean towards this being non-regulated permitted activity.
Jay?
No questions, me too. I think it's the same as everybody else. Thank you.
Aye.
I was concerned about how they intend to drain that pool.
Yes, so I just want to make it clear, we do use the backyard for other recreational activities. So anytime I was to drain this pool, I would hire a company to take the water out. This water would never touch the yard.
Hold on.
Yeah, that's somebody else. Go ahead.
What happened?
So, no, it was just someone else chimed in that, so you're fine.
Okay, so you're going to have it trucked away?
Correct.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Okay, I've got two questions. One, Shannon, did you say there's a fence in the backyard?
Correct. The backyard is completely enclosed. There's a fence line approximately here where my cursor is on the screen behind the play yard and behind the shed.
Okay,
So
so with the
the pool will be
existing fence,
located within the area that's fenced.
okay, so with the existing fence, they're not going to need to put up the fence around the pool, correct?
Correct. Well, and then again, this is an above-ground pool, so the pool acts as its own barrier. They'll need a fence or a gate on the stairs. But correct, there's no additional fence that would be required.
Okay, and then the other question I have actually goes not so much for draining the pool, but for backwashing the filter. Where's that water going to go?
I can, that I didn't research, but if it's something that's going to be, I guess, letting water out, we'd have to come up with something to prevent it from going into the backyard area. But
Because what you're going to find,
Mhm.
Go ahead, so I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, because my intention is I don't want mud in the area, because it's, like I said, it's space that we use, so I can speak to them to see what exactly we can put there to avoid any splashing or backsplash.
Yeah, because basically what will happen is when you have the filter running, you're going to have to backwash the filter to get all sorts of Farmington stuff out of the filter. And that's going to require having some water discharged through the filtration system. So that may be something we need to think about. I mean, I don't know if with having to move some of the soil anyway, I don't know if going in with some type of an area that's maybe got some crushed stone,
Yeah.
that you can discharge into that, so it's not overland. But I don't know, Shannon, you may have some ideas on that. You can work with them, but it's just something we may want to take a look at and how they're going to discharge the backwash.
Okay. My guess is there's going to be some stone immediately adjacent to the pool anyhow, just with the splash, and whatnot. So it can probably be addressed there. And again, this water, I mean, our drinking water is chlorinated. I realize the pool water is more chlorinated than our drinking water, but over time, that chlorine off gas, and it's not really, I don't think, a direct detriment to the wetlands. I think we're more concerned from an erosion standpoint than a detriment to the swale, really.
Because if
the
you're not
water
discharging into a grassed area, the water comes out pretty fast. You can create some gullies pretty quickly.
Right, yeah. But my guess is we'll have stone. We'll look into that detail, but I'm confident we can address that.
Yes,
I'm sure you can. I don't think it's an issue, but I think it's something that should be looked at when designing everything. That's all.
Sure.
And then I agree with a bunch of my colleagues that I think this is probably something that can be permitted as a right within the residential zone.
Okay, great.
Do we need to vote on that?
Yes.
Or?
Yep, if we can do a motion and a vote, that would be great.
This is Statch, and I make a motion.
Make a motion that this is a permitted use as of right within a residential zone?
So moved.
Second by Robert Eisner.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any questions, comments? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Nope. Hopefully it's in before the end of the summer.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you for your time.
Okay. You're welcome. Lynn, either myself or Bruce will follow up with you in the next couple of days.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Next, 12 Wisteria Lane. for an in-ground pool.
Yes, and I believe we've got Donna LeBrecq on. Donna, are you there? You gotta unmute yourself. There you go. You there, Donna? Nope, we're back and forth. Donna, are you there? Okay, she's got herself on mute, and I can't. Nope. Donna, are you there? All right, I'm just going to start this one too, and we'll move ahead, and if there's questions, we'll take it from there. So Wisteria Lane is a relatively new subdivision. I believe it was completed around 2015. It has been fully completed at this particular point in time. I think all the houses have been constructed. Bruce has worked with them extensively to figure out the exact location of the pool at the backyard and ensuring that it's meeting zoning requirements, as well as identifying the wetland that's to the south. So we're looking at installing an in-ground pool. There's patio and fence enclosure around it. The backyard is relatively level, so while there's grading and excavation for the pool itself, obviously, since it's an in-ground pool, there's not extensive earthwork that's needed all the way around in order to get this to fit into the property. So we're basically looking at the same, same type of thing. I had included a copy of the subdivision plan. This is the same parcel here at the end. This is the LeBrecq parcel. This is the wetland that had been delineated as part of the Wisteria Lane development and the setback. This, and Guy, I know you're gonna ask, so I'm gonna get ahead of it. At the time they did Wisteria Lane, there was extensive wetland delineations that took place. The wetland that has the vernal pool is in this wetland up in Area C. There is not a vernal pool associated with Area C. There are now stormwater detention basins and a variety of stormwater features back here, so I have no doubt critters are using some of the areas as breeding grounds, but it is not a designated vernal pool. So that's what we're looking at, and I'll ask one more time. Donna, are you there, and can you unmute yourself to participate? I don't know. My screen's jumping, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Shannon, where's the conservation area?
So it is outside their property line. So their property line, this is all town open space outside of their property line. So basically their property line is open space. It wasn't necessarily designated as a conservation, so it's not a conservation easement. It was deeded right to the town as open space.
Okay. All right, so I guess we'll start with Rich for comments.
I guess the only question I have is on the proposed filter system for the pool, and discharge of the backwash, where that's headed.
Okay. This particular yard, there's much more land here for this yard, so there is an ability to have this discharge overland. They've got more room prior to hitting a regulated area. Just this area is a 25-foot rear setback just to the rear of the property.
Okay, and I'm seeing on the plan that the proposed pool equipment is tucked up behind their garage, I guess it is. So it's away from the pool.
in,
Yeah, no, it's up a little further, right there.
this area. Yep, and that's entirely, because there's a deck here, there's likely a few more connections coming in, but when we asked, this is what we were told. This was the patio and this was the fence line. We asked a number of times, and that's what we were told, that that's the limit of work that's taking place.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Dave?
No questions.
Robert?
No questions, just to comment that again, I think this is all within the upland review area. It's all, the entire property is upland review. So I would view this as a permitted use as of right. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Mark?
No comments.
Ned?
I agree with Robert, no comments. No questions.
Okay, Jay?
No questions. I agree with everybody else. Thank you.
Guy?
No questions.
Yeah, I don't really have a question, but it's a comment. Seeing as how they're proposing to put the proposed pool equipment, and I'm assuming that's the filter and things of that nature, up towards the, see, that would be the western side of the house, I guess, in this area. I feel a little bit better about that because it's even that much further away from, what's this, Area B? I think that's what was there.
Correct, yeah,
So
area.
I think, yeah, so I think that makes it a little bit easier too to deal with the equipment being up there, so that if they do have to backwash, things of that nature, it should be a lot easier to deal with. You're not right on top of the wetlands. So other than that, I don't really have anything on it. I do agree with Robert. I think this is probably something that can go in as a permitted use. So if somebody would care to make a motion to treat this as a permitted use as of right within a residential zone.
Dave, so
Bob and Shannon, it looks like the applicant may have unmuted themselves, so you may want to check.
Okay, Donna, are you there?
No, the red microphone was off on the participant list.
Yeah, Donna, we're discussing 12 Wisteria Lane if you'd like to participate. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, the participant list changed, that's all.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Bob, I'll make the motion that this is a permanent use as of right.
Okay, is there a second?
Mark Simpson here, second.
Any comments, discussion?
Yeah, that they should be following the town's recommendations about excavated material removed from the property, silt socks and the like.
Yep. We'll
Great,
follow up
that's-
through that building permit. Yep.
All right, if there are no other questions or comments, those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? So be it. Based on Shannon's email, can I get a motion to add item number 6, which is an above-ground pool application for 54 Woodside Drive?
So moved, Sebastian.
Is there a second?
Second, Berlandi.
Okay, those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? Okay.
Okay. I believe the homeowner for this one's on. Dave, Evan, you here?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. All right. So why don't you just give a quick summary of what you're looking to do?
Yep, standard above ground pool, 21 rounds. It'll be about 10 to 12 feet from the back part of the house there, back part of the garage, and about 6 to 7 feet from the area that begins the woods, which is a wooded area that we don't intend to touch. knock down, cut any trees down. It'll be built on the existing grass area of the backyard. And it's a relatively flat, level area. Very little excavation work is going to need to happen to install this pool.
Okay. All right. Are you fencing in the backyard, or will there's just going to be a enclosure around the pool itself and a gate on the stairs?
Yep, just the gate on the stairs, and an area of stone that'll be around the pool, probably 12 inches wide around the whole pool base.
Okay.
And that's really it.
Okay.
So Rich, we'll start with you again.
One question, where's the filter system going to be, and how's it going to be backwashed?
Yeah, the filter system is going to be, I don't know how to explain it on this diagram. If you're looking at the back of the house, it's going to be to the right side of the pool. If you can picture the circular pool in your head, it'll be on the right side, not far, towards the center back on the property. I don't know if that makes sense, or
Kind of on the behind your garage side of the house?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Looks like maybe close to where the 6-foot delineation is.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Sir.
Dave?
No questions.
Robert?
Mr. Babin or Shannon, do you know what's the proximity to wetlands? Are there any wetlands on the property, or is it just upland review?
There are, I think I included, so here, when you look at the as-built plan, there's a swoop of wetlands through the back, but as shown, and it's tough to see on this, the existing house is here, the approximate pool is in this location. And we're not certain, because this is from the subdivision plan, we're not certain if these were actually field delineated wetlands or these were based on soil survey information at the time, because this subdivision dates back to the subdivision would have been approved mid to late 80s and the home was built in 88. But that's the information that I have available to me. But we're, based on some of the notation, we're suspicious. There is no notation that it was field delineated. And they have, in many instances, the soil classifications. So we're suspicious that that's how it was identified.
Okay, and we heard that there's going to be no additional clearing of trees. So with that understanding that there's no impact to the wetlands directly, and assume there's no clearing of the trees, I would view this as a permitted use as of right. But just to the homeowner, be cautious that if you do any land clearing of the trees, you probably need to check back with Shannon to make sure you're not going into.
Yes, sir. We don't plan to remove any trees. We actually like the privacy.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mark?
No questions.
All right, Ned?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, Jay?
No questions.
Okay, Guy?
My only question has to do with what's going to happen to the water that you take out of that pool.
We're going to have that professionally removed, sir.
Thank you.
Yep.
I only have one question. Where did you actually find a pool?
That's a good one. Question of the night.
Having been in some of the pool stores earlier this year and listening to them say, we don't have any pools in stock, how'd you find one?
Yeah, we've heard that a lot. It's called having connections, sir. I won't give away my sources.
Not asking for any. I've already got my pool in, so that's okay. I'm not looking for a neighbor.
Never works, Dave, right?
It was a lucky
No,
phone
but
call.
I know that this year, the two toughest things to find are pools and bikes.
Right?
Stores just don't have them. So, okay, other than that, I don't have any questions. I would agree with Robert. I do think that this is probably something that can go in as a permitted use as of right within a residential zone. So I think that's how most of us are pretty leaning. I will entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved. This is Robert, with the provision that no additional trees be removed without consulting town staff.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ned Scott, second.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Good luck.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you, and we'll be
Appreciate
following
it.
up.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Be well.
You too.
You all, good night.
Good night. Planners report.
Planners report, I will be brief. 19 Canterbury, we had in front of us last month for the violation of cutting trees in the Eastman area. She is moving along very diligently. Their contractor, she'd been in touch with respect to plant material sizes. We got that clarified, and the contractor was on site yesterday, hand removing material that had to come out. The plants were there and positioned. They are all very healthy. They looked great, and they were all in the 3 to 4 foot requirement. And they had seeded some of the area that was in the upland, not the wetland area, but seeded the upland area and had straw down. And I gave them the go-ahead to put the plant material in. It looks great, so they're going to do that and get just some additional straw down to protect the area while we're waiting for the ferns and other things to come up on that floor. So we'll just continue to monitor it at this particular point in time. But the homeowners worked really diligent to get this corrected. So that's 19 Canterbury. And the group that was there doing the work was her arborist, the same individual that took the trees down to begin with. So he and I had a little chat.
Was he able to walk away?
To put them up.
So we had a little chat, and I made note of the corporation name. God help him if he does it again. So we went through the whole thing. He's like, well, what, it's dead, it's dying. I said, yeah, call me. I will have somebody there that day or the next day to look at it with you. Oh, really? Yeah, really. So.
Shannon, what was the name of the company?
Arbor Care Solutions. And the fella I was speaking with, his first name was Matt. I did not get a last name.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So moving right along, 69 Forest Hills, have been continued discussion with Mr. Mike Ancona and also with, his attorney, Chuck Shimkus. They do have a surveyor engaged, and the surveyor is working with Farmington Valley Health. There's discrepancies in some of the mapping at Farmington Valley Health, so he's working with them to get the mapping and clear that up. We've got confirmation and have been able to verify that. So until they get that situated, then we can move on to the next step. But it is continued to be worked on, not quite as expeditiously as we'd like, but they're moving ahead. So
Now, is that for delineating the tank or the field?
but I think the whole thing. So the tank, I think he's working because he's had what did he say? He's had Suburban out there to pump the tank, and they did some work on it on the cover. So that they can locate, it's more the field, and there was some discrepancies there. So he's working with the health department to get that straightened out so that he can then, he's been out and he's field located the wetland flags, and now he's just got to get everything on one plan and on the same datum, horizontal and vertical, and get that all pulled together.
Now, there is a field though, right?
Yes, well, that's my, yes, my understanding. Yeah, I think the problem is that it was sketched out in a couple of different ways, and so he's just trying to get a resolution for that with Farmington Valley, so he's working through it with them. Yep. So, that's it. That's all I have updates on for this evening.
Okay, so next is, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of July 1st? Was this,
This is Jay, so moved.
is there a second?
Dave will
Any
second.
comments? Any comments, corrections? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? So moved. So we'll close wetlands at 8:38 and commence the Conservation Commission.
Yes. And I believe land acquisition met last week. Guy, do you happen to have an update, or?
We did meet, and we went through a whole bunch of stuff that I can't talk about, and that was it.
Okay, fair enough.
That's what executive session's for.
That sure is. So, okay, well, we'll stay tuned. I'm sure some of it will end up hitting our desk. And then the only other thing I have to share is I met up with some high school kids, I think it's 2 weeks now. It wasn't this past weekend, it was the previous weekend, down at the planting area. There were 4 very industrious high school students, all Farmington residents, 2 girls, 2 boys. The 2 girls, one's a Taft student, one's a Porter student. One of the boys is a Farmington High School student. I don't know. The 4th boy came a little late, so I didn't find out where he's going to school. But we put a huge dent in the knotweed, because the knotweed's still coming up. I am vowed to, I will probably never, ever, ever do another knotweed project in my life ever. But this knotweed is still coming up, but those kids worked hard. I was so impressed. For 2 straight hours on a hot Saturday morning, and we put a huge dent in it, and they still were enthusiastic to do more, so they've asked me for other areas where they can do work, and they're even willing to come back in August and help out again. So it was fun. They were great kids to work with, and it was very productive. So it was good to see, that's for sure.
That's great.
Good.
Yeah. So, and that's all I've got.
Can I just throw in an editorial comment, which may or may not be Conservation Commission business, but it is land acquisition business. I don't know if this is common knowledge, but Ned, congratulations on your appointment to land acquisition last night at Town Council.
Thank you.
There you go. He's legal.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to impress them, one of the pieces of property you may want to bring up is 8115 Collinsville Road, to see if we should put that on the list. It's about a 3.5 acre parcel that's landlocked, it's floodplain, it's right along the Farmington River.
Okay.
And part of the reason there is our agency doesn't particularly want to try to work something out to give them access off of Farmington Avenue, because right now the property is valued at about $14,000, I think a little over $14,000 in the assessor's map. So it's vacant land right now, and maybe it should stay that way, but it's right over by that large parking lot area for the rails to trails.
Okay.
Sounds like a nice piece of open space land.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because I think most of it is, not all of it is floodplain, so it'd be very difficult to build. So that was it on planners report? Nothing there?
Yes, sir. Yep,
Okay,
that's it.
so can I get a motion to approve the minutes of July 1st, 2020 Conservation Commission meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Are there any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? They're passed. 8:42, have a good evening and stay safe.
Thank you.
Right.
You too, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Getting on the
Hey.
meeting.
Good night, everyone. Enjoy the summer.
Take
Good
care.
night.
Yeah, you all too.
We'll see you at sidewalk.
See you in the next site walk.
See you at sidewalk.